What's up, Sushi Squad? We back again some more Genshin Impact, and today we're going to be talking about the new event, which is quite literally Prop Hunt. It's actually not bad either. I mean, I don't know how you could end up messing up Prop Hunt in the first place, but I was pleasantly surprised to see that Genshin does a pretty good job of introducing it. I only wish that as they ended up introducing all these events, they would add them to the game permanently, but it's just another temporary event, unfortunately. So anyways, first and foremost, you're going to see a new world quest is going to pop up, and you're going to be able to go over here and talk to this guy. The way that this event works is pretty good. I actually would hope that future events would end up having similar mechanics to this, but more than likely it won't. We'll see. So this guy's gonna blah 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 blah, and then you'll end up getting the quest done. You can end up playing Wind Trace or just going to what's Wind Trace and blah blah blah. But before we end up hopping into a round, I want to just bring up the event menu so we can end up showing you guys what's going on here. So the way that this event is going to work is, rather than it having an event shop, quite literally there's going to be a certain amount of coins that you can end up collecting per day. And as the days go on, of course it's time gated, the maximum amount of coins that you can store at a time is going to increase. Now the interesting thing is that the coins are more so like points. Let's just say that you have a total amount of points that you can have at one given time. You will not actually spend the points in order to end up unlocking any of these items. It's just so long as you have the amount of points, you can buy everything that's at the same interval of points and lower. So if I got to 2,400 points, which is, you know, basically what the limit is today, at least the time that I'm recording this, it means that I could end up getting this as a reward, but it wouldn't deplete my coins to zero. I wouldn't have to continuously farm more and more of the event. I literally just have to wait until the cap is increased so that I can get more points and more points and more points until eventually you can end up buying everything out of the store. All you really gotta do is waste your time grinding it, which, I mean, it's not really that much of a waste of time because it's actually pretty fun and pretty easy too. There's also going to end up being these rewards though, and these are going to be basically 50,000 Mora so long as you end up completing various objectives. So capture a rebel within 10 seconds of the using Mysterious Hunch, win a round as a rebel without using a disguise, because basically the rebels are the props and the hunter is quite literally just looking for them. Detect a total of 5 rebels using the sensor aura, lay bait down and stuff like that, right? So it's just a couple things that you can end up doing to end up getting yourselves some extra Mora, while this is going to be the brunt of it, which gives us quite a bit of Prima Gems once you end up getting all of them. So then there's also going to end up being the Windward Arts. So these are quite literally going to be the abilities that you are selecting for your character, whether you're going to end up being the hunter or the rebel. So for the hunter, we've got the ability where we can sense the area, so you will be notified if a rebel is in the area. It's basically going to go be a big pulsation beam around you, and if it detects somebody in the area, it'll kind of end up showing you like, oh, somebody's nearby. But then there's also going to be Mysterious Hunch, which briefly shows the direction in which all rebels will be found. This will end up basically showing a bunch of footprints on the ground, and then you can just, each of those directions is quite literally where the rebels are hiding, so you can use it to your advantage to get through it pretty darn quick. I was actually very surprised how easy this game can be if you actually know what you're doing in terms of being a hunter. But that doesn't mean it's always an auto KO. Then there's going to end up being your capture ability. This you can pretty much just spam constantly on props and stuff like that, just because it's going to have a very, very slow cooldown, or a very quick cooldown, sorry. So you pretty much can just use this at your leisure. You may as well, because if you go by a barrel and you use it and it just so happens to be a player that's in there, well, that's awesome. Then there's going to end up being your ultimate ability, and this is going to end up being unlocked when you end up collecting one of these focus things. I forget what they're called, I'm sorry, but one of these things is going to basically drop down at, I think it's the 1:30 mark, if not 1 minute mark. But it's going to drop down, and it can end up giving you or the rebels various bonuses. So it'll end up basically just giving you your ultimate ability that you have selected. So there's Imprisoning Curse, which randomly dispels the disguise of one of the rebels and restrains them for a time. During this time, the target will be unable to leave the restraining area, and the rebel will be warned of this action. Insight dispels the disguises of all rebels and briefly marks their location on the minimap while showing the position of nearby rebels on the scene with a pillar of light. During this time, they'll all be known about it, blah, blah, blah. And then Hunter's Intuition, which is the other ultimate ability that you can choose, which randomly dispels the disguise of one rebel and marks their location on the mini-map for a long period of time. If the target is nearby, their location will be marked by a pillar of light. Generally, I like using the Insight one just because it ends up marking everybody that's nearby, but I mean, you know, you can pick your poison, use whatever ability you want. Now moving on to the rebel abilities. So there's going to end up being Lay Bait, which is not the default ability that you put down, but basically this will end up putting down a prop that will trick the hunter into thinking that it is you, but if they end up trying to capture it, it'll end up obscuring their vision for a short time. That's basically it. Then there's going to end up being Transparency, which enter a hidden mode temporarily. During this time, you cannot be seen by the hunter. Entering this mode will dispel your current disguise. The hunter's Windward Arts Capture and Mysterious Hunch and Sensor Area and all. Basically, all the hunter abilities will still be able to capture you or detect you if they end up using the ability while you're invisible. But as far as just their vision is concerned, they won't be able to see you. Then there's going to end up being your main ability, which is your disguise ability. So you press it and you'll randomly disguise as one of the specialized objects in the area, which more than likely is going to be a box or a barrel or whatever. But you hold the button to end up removing the disguise, and the disguise will be removed when you glide or swim. So you can actually climb in the environment. Generally, I found that lots of people don't seem to look in the trees when you're hiding, just because people seem to think that the props are stuck to the ground. But I mean, I just like climbing into a tree and then transforming into a box while I'm still hanging on the wall. I find it to be hilarious. Or you just stay in a tree for the entirety of the round so that you can get the bonus of not transforming into a prop. But anyways, moving on. The ultimate ability of the rebels, you actually don't have any option. There's just going to be Star Step, which is movement speed is greatly increased for the next 30 seconds. It can be helpful. I did use this at one point to outrun the hunter. And then I was able to end up hiding again. But for the most part, I didn't really understand how the game worked because I didn't know that I had to just press the disguise thing. Because, I don't know, my first round was just a mess because I was holding down the button thinking I was disguised. But in reality, I was literally just standing as Zhongli, not a prop, hiding in the bushes. The funny thing is that I was able to survive quite a bit from the hunter. Now, if we actually go to the game preview, we can actually see not only the details of how you end up getting coins and so on and so forth, but you can also take a peek at each of the levels. I have footage of all of the levels except for the Drifters in the Terrace Depths, just because I've never gotten this level to show up for some reason. But you can spawn as Deadwood and Scarecrows. Ooh, that sounds fun, actually. But yeah, anyways, there's going to be this area in Mondstadt. There's going to end up being Dawn Winery, which is pretty good just because you can hide in a lot of the bushes and stuff like that. Drifter Terrace, which, I mean, that would probably... You could just literally hide in the flower fields if the dead wood is small enough. I don't know. Then there's going to be the Ghostfire Stream. This area, you know, I usually just climb into a tree and hide there. And then the Ice Sealed Maze. This place sucks because... it technically is Dragon Spine, which means that even when you're a prop, you basically have to hide by a torch because you're still going to have you're still going to get sheer cold, which sucks because it really limits your places of hiding. And usually I would say that the hunter, I mean, if the hunter doesn't win this round, I mean, then there's something sincerely wrong. So the thing is, if we end up looking at these detailed rules, you can see that you basically get coins for everything, which is what I was pleasantly surprised about with the rounds, because I thought, oh no, I have to end up winning and the rounds last 3 minutes. But no, if you're a rebel, all you gotta do is just survive as long as you can, and chances are you'll end up getting some points out of it. Of course, if you win the whole round, you'll end up getting more points and so on and so forth. And then as the hunter, you'll end up getting points just for, you know, capturing rebels and stuff, or just participating in the round. Like the whole thing is that even if you lose, you still end up getting some points. So at least you're not wasting your time. And the fact that you're just slowly accumulating more and more points towards your points total, rather than having to spend those points over and over again in a sort of event shop, it's actually implemented very well. I like it because it actually promotes you to play because you want to, rather than play just to grind it out. The one thing that I would say low-key kind of sucks is that you can't end up earning the currency when you're playing with your friends. I get it. You could technically end up cheating the event in order to end up getting as much currency as possible, but considering how easy it is to end up getting the currency, I don't know why they care. I guess because they're trying to force you to play with other people and potentially end up adding people, and I don't know, just maybe people that don't end up generally going into co-op would end up being like, oh, cool, this is actually really interesting. But for my money, I would still rather play this game co-op with my friends, in which case I would probably just rather install Gmod or Witchit or some type of actual prop hunt game rather than do it in Genshin. But my point is that it's actually not bad. It's a pretty good implementation of prop hunt. I just wish that it was some permanent thing, or that we could end up picking like an area in Mondstadt or something, or set up some of the custom rules or anything. I don't know. Either way, it was really, really cool, and I was very pleasantly surprised with how it ended up working. So yeah, hopefully you guys ended up enjoying this video. Hopefully you found it helpful, just because going into it I was a bit confused and a bit intimidated, but it turns out that it's actually really, really easy and probably one of the funnest events that has been added to the game, at least in my opinion. But that's also just because I love prop hunt in general. Anyways, thanks for watching. Smash the like, sub for more, buy the merch you want to support the channel. And I'm sorry that this video is a couple days late, but again, I was intimidated by it and I was busy building up my teapot and junk like that. Anyways, you guys don't care. Bye guys, have a good day.